that originally referred you to me, by the way?
I was a YouTuber. I can't. Who was it? Dakota of Earth. Have you heard of?
Got it, got it. And this is your first session with me, is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Well, let me give you just a brief introduction about what I do. I do the oldest form of astrology known to man. This is the ancient Babylonian Egyptian system, which later became a Roman Greco system. And I only explain it up front because I may use some words today that you've never heard before.
Okay.
You'll find that I'll say the word and go right into the meaning, so it does not require you to know anything about the system to get a reading. Now, my readings are real simple. For the first 20 to 25 minutes, you don't have to do anything at all, except for sit back, relax, make yourself as comfortable as you can. I'm going to cover the major topics of your chart, and then I leave 30 minutes open to you where you can ask any specific question you want and get an answer.
Oh,
Now, I'm going to throw a lot on your lap in 25 minutes, so you're getting ready to find out right now.
sounds
And
good.
when I'm done with my 25 minutes, you have two options. What I just gave you, you can take over and ask questions. Yet you are also allowed to go, you know what? I'd like to digest what you've just said. Listen to the reading again because I'm recording all of this. And I email you a file that you're going to receive about 10 minutes after we hang up the phone today. Some people want to listen to the reading a few times and then call back at a later date to ask questions. So you can decide when I'm done with my part to use your whole hour today or to cut it in two. And if you choose to cut it in two, it does not take 5 months to get your follow-up time. I try to get you in within a couple weeks of asking for it.
Okay. Sounds good.
So let's get into your reading. And, however, and whomever initiated you getting this reading, it couldn't have been more divinely orchestrated. You're going to like your reading today. And then let's hop into what I mean by that right now.
Okay.
You are just getting ready to start a brand new cycle. Now, it does not start till a little bit later this year. It starts December 16th of 2021, and this alignment goes on all the way until March 9th of 2024. So this alignment that begins this December, it has 4 changes inside of it. And we're going to open this reading by talking about the 4 changes that are to begin as of December 16th of this year. The first of the 4 changes deals with complete reconstruction in your career. But let me tell you, this cycle is positive, not negative. When you hear reconstruction, sometimes that can have a negative intonation to it, especially with work. It's nothing like that at all. This is one of the most powerful cycles you've ever had in your life thus far regarding your work and your career. And it even states getting support in areas that are new. Now, what that also means is you could end up in a new partnership or working with a new group, new organization. There's some type of support that comes in that creates some stability and some strength in your career. By the time you're done with this cycle, 2024 in March, you should have made profound changes in your career that sustain for 16 years after this cycle is over. On March 9th, and this is even more powerful than the cycle you get ready to start in December, on March 9th of 2024, you kick off a 16-year phase called a Jupiter Dasha. Dasha meaning major life cycle. This cycle that begins December is just starting to lay down the foundations for a 16-year phase that has the potential to change everything in your life for the better. Your Jupiter is incredibly powerfully placed, which means when you enter the 16-year phase in 2024, you can sustain some type of recognition for the entire 16-year phase. But honestly, the cycle you start this December that leads you into this cycle is even more fun. Let me give you an example of how. Well, let's just say someone is an actor. They probably get their first major big role in the cycle that you're getting ready to start this December. And then the 16 years after would be them getting consistent roles at that level. I believe that the entrance cycle is what you're starting this December is a little bit more fun because your scenery changes here. Your life changes here. A power gets underneath you that is totally foreign to you, that has the possibility of opening major doors. But you can even go online when we're done with this reading today and Google Jupiter Dasha just to hear it's very rare. Most people don't even go through one in a lifetime. And when they do, they're blessed alignments because Jupiter is a planet of good luck and fortune. Change number 2 is relationships. As you step into the cycle, it's going to challenge your relationships to grow. And any relationship that is not capable of growing, you're going to feel a great need to remove. You're also going to attract new people into your life. And by the time this cycle is over, your whole circle of friends is going to be different than it is now. I'll even go as far to say this cycle deals with finding your tribe, people you're going to be traveling with for a long time to come. Change number 3 is property. In this phase, you can remodel, relocate, get a new car, new office space. When people go through cycles like this, they tend to shift their property. As if to say you're going to change so much internally, you're going to start wanting new things around you externally. Shifting property is change number 3. Another reason why I love this cycle that starts December of this year is because it takes you out of a challenging cycle that started December 20th of 2016. So 2017, 18, 19, 20, and most of 21 was consumed with one of the harder cycles you can go through in astrology.
Yeah.
Not only are you getting ready to shift out of that, going into an amazing Jupiter Dasha that goes on for 16 years, you're coming out of one of the harder alignments in astrology. The cycle you've been going through is called a sub-sade-sate, means several years of problems. So that's why your reading with stars is my most important of the 8 today. You're going into an amazing Jupiter Dasha in 2024. The next 3 years lay down the foundation for that, and that takes you out of a challenging cycle you've been technically going through since late 2016,
Well, that's
early 2017.
100% correct.
The last attribute of this phase is mental strength and happiness that can produce physical strength. As you come out of this really intense cycle, this sub-sade-sate, you'll feel mentally stronger, clearer, and you'll feel happier in your physical body. The goal of this cycle that begins December is to take you out of one of the most challenging alignments in astrology and introduce you to one of the best alignments in astrology called a Jupiter Dasha that goes on for 16 years. And you get this 2.5 to 3 year phase to play with how you want to direct that energy. And this is important, this statement. The next couple of years are about how you want to direct the energy that starts in 2024. You have the free will and the option to choose what you want to expand in. Like as an example, you could say, well, do I want to be a writer? Do I want to be a musician? Do I want to open up a big business? You get to choose in the next couple of years how you want to direct that energy that begins in 2024. So the next few years are very creative, also highly protective, meaning you'll feel a support underneath you that the cycle you've been going through since 2017 has been completely exempt of entirely. In this ancient system of astrology, you are called the Muses, technically pronounced Musa, M-U-S-A. Musa means the goddesses, the 9 muses together as one force. When they're all together, they're called the Muses. The animal that rules over your star is a lion, and it's ruled by the planet Mars, and its symbol is a drum. There are 2 powers that exist under your star, the Muses, and the more you awaken your higher self, the more you're going to expand these 2 powers. The first power of your star, the Muses, is the power to be a visionary This star deals with profound visionary beings. If you ever read any of my books I have out about this system, you can tell we love this star. The ancients loved the star of the Muses because we believed our visionaries were born under this star. The second power of the Muses is the power of transformation and healing. In India, this star is also associated with the god Shiva, and he even would carry a drum on his back, which was a symbol of the star of the Muses. Shiva was the god of change, the god of transformation, and sometimes even the god of destruction. But he was also a very highly intelligent deity. So this star is powerful, it's profound, and people that are born under it tend to end up being our visionaries and our true teachers. That statement, true teachers, matters because we don't like to learn from people who've never been through anything. I don't, and really neither do you. We like to learn from people who overcome. If you're born under the Muses, means you have to overcome adversity so you can help other people through your own life experiences go through the doors that you've been through in your own life. The Muses, they are natural born teachers. I'm not telling you to be a teacher. There are other things I'd like you to do. But I believe your life will be a teaching to other people based on what you've overcome. And the last 5 to 6 years would make certain you would overcome certain things. It'd be making certain that the life around you was challenged because it wanted you to be highly educated about who you are by the time this cycle in December began. It wanted you to be very clear about who you were. So it had to create a lot of these adversities over the last several years so you would truly be able to step into your power and have real wisdom, which came from the adversity of the last few years. Now we're going to enter the essential part of your reading. It's called your animal totem. We are going to discuss 4 animals that rule over your inner or spiritual makeup. We're first going to mention the head of your animal totem, which is your knowledge. Then the throat and shoulders of your animal totem, which is your earthly duty or your career. Then the torso and legs of your animal totem, which deals with what you truly and spiritually desire. And the feet, your spiritual path, wisdom, duty, desire, spirituality. These show up in your animal totem because the ancients believed the goal of life is to fulfill these areas. The head of your animal totem, which reflects your wisdom, it is your chief animal, the lion. That is very unusual for your ruling animal to show up in your animal totem because we use 27 animals, not 12. The first wisdom you possess is positive skepticism. The lion says, I'll believe it if I experience it, but I'm not going to believe in something I don't tangibly experience. The lion questions because it wants the truth. It is a natural, positive skeptic. There's a negative skeptic in the system of astrology, and that is a person who won't believe in anything, even if they actually really do experience it. The lion is associated with the positive side. It questions because it wants answers. It wants that which is true. The lion also has the ability to look into someone and see their true inner nature. That's what makes this animal a king, is its intuitive capacities to look into a person and know who they really are. The lion is associated with people that have a great capacity to see the core of another person. The lion also deals with healing or knowledge around healing. Does that mean you have to become a healer? Not necessarily. I find it's even a little bit deeper than that. The lion can find ways in which to change or transform people and can even be on a much more higher vibration or even a mass vibration than just being like a hands-on healer. They have the ability to impact the environment or the world that we live in. But understanding of healing is strong underneath the lion. And we also have, in one of my books, we also have statements that, the lion may have to overcome certain minor health issues because the universe wants them becoming very knowledgeable about health. And again, you have to overcome your own adversities to help other people overcome theirs. So we recommend when someone has a lion in their animal totem to pay attention to health, because then the universe won't have to force you into taking care of your health. Now, that sounds negative, but it's not. I mean, I have the lion in my animal totem, and I have had a few things happen with my health, which oddly enough led me to go to India and learn Ayurveda and all these other various things that I learn and do in my life now. I wouldn't change anything on the planet. I would go through all that all over again, no doubt about it. So I'm not saying you have to run into health problems. What I'm saying is you have a healer in you that if you don't awaken on your own accord, the universe then finds ways in which it can kind of push you into those doors. The lion is also associated with creating an empire. Now, this is going to show up twice here, but doing something that has a large or massive impact on other people. You're born under the star of the lion. The head of your animal totem is the lion. This is kind of a life of learning what it means to be a true leader. The throat and shoulders of your animal totem, which is your earthly duty or your career. We haven't talked about another animal today. We got the lion again. That is incredibly unusual. That's why I said there's going to be some repeats here. The lion rules over your career, it rules over your wisdom, and it rules over your identity. And what an amazing animal to have ruling over three aspects of your chart. But the first earthly duty underneath the lion is business, creating businesses that are highly transformative. Again, to be that visionary, use your vision to create businesses. There's a deeply creative element to the lion as well. It doesn't mean you have to become a musician, an artist, or a painter, but we do like the lion in an expressive role in its life. We like you not only being in roles where you create your own businesses and be your own leader. We like you being in roles where you can express what's going on internally inside of you. The lion is all about expression, and that drum, which is the symbol of the star of the muses, the star of the lion, is really about creating things that can influence humanity. That drum is keeping the beat of something going and moving forward. The lion is also associated with, like I said, it's going to come up twice, creating an empire. I believe in the next few years, you get to choose on how you want to direct this energy, but you're going to create something that lasts for 16 years, and you're going to end up creating your own small empire in this lifetime. And I even believe there are things you're going to be doing in the next few years that you probably wouldn't be able to fathom doing, considering the intensity you've been going through since late 2016, early 2017. So, when new energy starts to come through, you'll feel this strong healing go on internally, and you'll feel a brand new motivation in your life. And I expect this to start in December. And this new motivation is going to start leading you towards where you can personally be the most abundant. The torso and legs of your animal totem, which deals with your desires. The animal here is an elephant. The first desire of the elephant is to know its power. That means you came into this life wanting to know your power. It's interesting, where I lived in India, there were two animals that were the kings of the jungle. One was the lion, the other one was the elephant. One they called the ambitious leader, the other one they called the natural leader, which was the elephant. They believe was a natural-born leader. Didn't even need to announce it was a leader. It just kind of was. You have both. The first desire of the elephant is also about balance. This is not a life you choose and work over level of work. It's about finding balance and harmony between them. That's not going to be easy, though, because I believe this Jupiter Dasha that starts in 2024, that the next few years start to prepare you for, is incredibly busy. I do see you creating your own empire in some way, shape, or form, and finding time for relationships is not going to be easy. The good news is the elephant is going to want that balance, so you will feel drawn to find that balance. The elephant also deals with travel, taking trips and going on journeys that are profound. The elephant also deals with knowledge. The elephant is highly intelligent, so is the lion. That means this is a life of learning to trust your own wisdom and to trust your own intelligence. Your greatest energy internally and spiritually will be things that you feel from within. You know, we have the lion and the elephant. You can read books, please do, watch documentaries, but your greatest wisdom is going to come from within inside of yourself. Both the elephant and the lion are filled with spiritual consciousness and wisdom, which is in many ways going to make you a realist, because it's either real or it's not. The lion and the elephant, neither one will technically believe in things that they don't personally experience. That positive skeptic in you, like, I want to challenge, but because I want the truth, the elephant has that as well. I could even exchange that information with the elephant and the lion. It would have been the same, because they are both animals that lead from listening to what's going on within. The feet of your animal totem, which is your personal spiritual path, the animal here is a ram. Even though the ram has only shown up once in your animal totem, it is your second most powerful animal. And your Jupiter dasha, that starts in 2024, is ruled over by the ram and the lion. Both take priority over that. That phase is coming. Your spiritual path is through the ram. It's about being a bridge. What does it mean to be a bridge? Someone who is spiritually focused, spiritually awake, but who's also a normal person in the world that we live in. Kind of like being like a Buddha in the boardroom. Someone who's really conscious, really awake, but also a business person, also a creative person. You know, being that bridge between consciousness and the world that we live in is technically your spiritual path. Regarding your health, the animal that rules over your health is a wolf. Regarding the wolf, longevity is on your side. Yet you will have to watch out for digestion, which can be problematic. In older age, you'll have to watch out for one of your knees. One of your knees is capable of being problematic. Same with lower back. Digestion, one of your knees, lower back. You can even have a shoulder problem in older age if you're not careful. You also have to watch out for things that are associated with, I'm not going to say allergies, but you have to be very careful of what you put in your body. There are certain things that your body's not going to like. When you have the wolf, that means your health is sensitive. It wants you to be very health conscious, so there's certain things your body's not going to like, and you have to learn intuitively to listen to what your body wants. But the wolf here ruling over your health means you might learn some incredibly powerful things about your health that you even teach other people later in life. The gemstone of your chart is onyx, black onyx. Black onyx strengthens your health and helps you align with the power of the lion. The lion's color is midnight blue or black. It's a royal protective stone, onyx is. Now, the 7 qualities of your spirit. The strength of your chart is to see through people, to look into someone and see their true inner nature. Both the elephant and the lion have it. The weakness of your chart is self-doubt and self-criticism. You're capable of being your own worst critic. That is the lion. The lion, you wouldn't think, is highly critical of itself, but it is, and can make it even critical of others at times. But self-doubt and self-criticism are stumbling blocks you have to be careful of. The love of your chart will come from trusting your own information. Your heart will open the most from the information that you experience internally. That's why I said I like you reading, I like you watching documentaries, but your greatest wisdom is going to come right from within you. And your heart will open the most through trusting your own wisdom. Because the animals that rule over your animal totem are realism animals. You're not going to get caught up in things that you don't experience. So you're ultimately going to come up with a really strong conclusion that is real about your own beliefs. The motivation of your chart is balance of career and love. The blessing you were given is a recognition you're getting ready to have a voice in whatever vocation you choose for up to 16 years. Actually, I could even say up to 19, because I believe, even though the Jupiter Dasha doesn't start till 2024, I believe the next few years are going to have elements of it that really allow you to shine as well. The challenge of your chart is relationships. Relationships can bring up the worst in your nature. This is important. If you are in a relationship that allows a lot of freedom, it will pull out the highest traits in you. If you're in a relationship that doesn't allow you to have freedom, it will pull out the worst traits in you. It's very important for you to be involved in relationships that allow freedom and independence. The star you're born under, Musa, or the Muses, needs freedom in order to find its power. So, a very powerful time you start later this year as you come out of a very challenging cycle that started 2016 and 17. And you may not even realize, which it sounds like you do, but this was in my notes here, you may not even realize how intense the last few years have been until you step out of them. When you go into this cycle, then you'll really be able to look back and recognize how intense the last several years have been. My only advice for you today, because these alignments are so positive, is just to stay open and be really intuitive about the type of life you want. This next 3 years is about building this momentum towards this cycle in 2024. And what you build momentum in is what this cycle of 16 years will launch into the universe. I believe it will even be launched before this cycle. The great thing is you get to choose how you want to express this 16-year cycle that starts in 2024. So believe it or not, I am done with my part. And I now want to stand back and allow you to ask questions if you have any. So do you have any questions?
Well, that was I felt a strong connection. My whole body was trembling.
Oh, good.
Uh,
Not to interrupt you, but it's one of the reasons why I don't let you speak in my readings at the beginning, is because I don't even want you to think I'm reading you. I studied your chart this morning, and this particular system, I believe if I have someone's right information, I'm going to be 80% accurate, no doubt. So I'm glad that it affected you. That also means to me that you're aligned as well.
Yeah, definitely. Questions wise, I guess what I'd like to do is share a little bit, so you can get.
Absolutely.
So the last few years have been extremely challenging. Basically,
Yeah.
the only trauma in my life was my wife having an affair and leaving me. And
Yeah.
it was very hard. And
That's intense. Yeah.
in 2018, November 2018, there was a huge earthquake up here in Alaska, biggest one of my life, since '64, and I was born in '89, so biggest one of my life. I didn't even feel it. I travel for work. I work in telecommunications, and I am one of the lead technicians for a telecommunication company. And I bring internet and cell phones to leading multi-million, billion-dollar projects all over Alaska, government
Amazing.
for internet for the indigenous tribes, the Eskimos, the Yupik Indians, and whatnot around Alaska. Lots of time in isolation, lots of time in blizzards and the elements, up on mountaintops, helicopters, sled dogs, snow machines, going down rivers. And I've been doing it now since 2010. But I definitely know my own capabilities and intellect and my questioning, and I lived through experiences. And when I went through that earthquake, I was very upset. I was very depressed, and I was microdosing magic mushrooms at the time. And I just started to discover meditation on accident through anxiety based on magic mushrooms and and high edibles, cannabis. And I was meditating. About 2 hours had gone by, and I had a yellow orb appear in my mind's eye and filled me with the most love and warmth and bliss. And it circled around me a couple times and then passed through my chest, and it was a full body ecstasy, full divine bliss, the truest love I've ever felt. The perfect kind of father and mother all in one. And I was in the village of St. Mary's when it happened, and I just sent all my coworkers home to be with their families. And my wife at the time was very upset because this earthquake happened. My house was very in a chaos. Lots of support was damaged. The highway was all damaged up. She couldn't even get into town from the earthquake. And my family came over to help them, and she got embarrassed. She blamed me that I told them to come help. They found a lot of her sex toys, and it was kind of the end of my marriage. And she ended up having an affair for about 8 months after that, and I found out about it. And um, so I went through a very dark night of the soul, and I slightly got suicidal. I scared myself from my own thoughts, and these experiences, these mystical experiences I started to have with plant medicine, especially mushrooms, and then meditation alone, led me uh, into these journeys of sacred geometry within my mind's eye, and learning to feel the presence of my body and these subtle energy forces within my body. Um, and I felt bliss there. I felt neutrality. I felt an escapement from pain. I learned how to turn off my thoughts and just focus on feeling. And from these states of being, I started having more and more experiences, even without plant medicines, lucid dreaming. And I suffered from sleep paralysis and shadow entities encounters prior to all of this, 2014 through 2017.
Yeah, I've experienced that as well. It's
And
powerful.
yeah, and I haven't had episodes since I experienced some of these divine states. Because of my suicidal thought and the scarcity of them, but I knew there was something there, and I knew I had to experience it. My curiosity leads my life and dictates my life, and I decided to learn to brew ayahuasca, specifically an analog of ayahuasca using acacia confusia and Syrian rue. And I took it myself. I did my own research, and I started experimenting with the plant for about a year. I held in isolation after my wife left in 2019, and I had Crohn's disease as well. I dropped 140 pounds, learning to listen to my body and what it wanted, and fasting, prolonged fasting, lowering my carbohydrate intake, and upping my healthy fats and proteins, and really get into exercise and meditation and breath work. And it led me to my teacher, which was a Kriya and Hatha yoga person in London named Jamie Monday, and he's also a YouTuber. And he taught me breath work, and he taught me a daily spiritual sadhana, and I did it every day. I've come off the wagon a little bit, but it led me more into these divine experiences, and I started combining them with my plant medicine ceremonies with mushrooms and ayahuasca, and I started having more and more of these mystical experiences, and learning to communicate using emotions and kind of like telepathy with these kind of beings of love. These I call this one lady the Blue Lady, that she comes to me occasionally in these ceremonies, and just different entities, and um, they've been giving me a lot of guidance. And I ended up getting into a relationship with a narcissist with a lot of trauma, and I felt a lot of compassion for her, and I definitely I have ADHD. I just found out too, so it led me to these experiences. But I learned I got a really good relationship with her son, and 2 weeks ago she left me because I told her that I just wasn't in love with her. She was kind of abusive mentally and physically to me, and I traveled a lot for work, and I came home and she was gone. So in the course of the last couple of years, I lost a $600,000 home. I lost my wife. I lost my girlfriend and her son that I was really close with her son. And yesterday and today, I'm giving up my dogs. Um,
Oh wow.
and I'm moving in with my grandfather last week, and so definitely going through a lot. And I hold confidence because I realize that what I want to do with my life is I want to travel, and I want to train with shamans all over the world. I'm planning a trip to Rhythmia in Costa Rica in February for my birthday, because I need more experience, and I want to hold ceremonies for other people and teach them what I've learned, and teach them the methods that I've learned with yoga and breath work, and combining that with plant medicines, and allow them to get into these trance states and these subtle energies and the feeling of their body, and rotating using one pointedness development, doing the 61 point body rotation, and teaching them these techniques. And I know what it's done for me, and I know what it's opened the doors for me, and I'd like to maybe get into opening a healing center or something in the future. But I know that I know that I'm one of my greatest teachers, but I also know that I can learn a lot from others. And I see a lot of traveling coming up. I haven't traveled out of the country much, and just within the states a little bit. But um, I definitely see.
This is powerful stuff you're saying, though. I mean, these are major transformations you're going through.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how they play a role in these amazing alignments that are coming, but I'm certain they do.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure the direction I want to go, but I feel like that I have a lot of knowledge to bring to people that are hurt, and I have a lot of knowledge to bring in healing, and I don't know if that's as a teacher or as just the people in my life or the people I interact with. And I started up a Facebook group that I just got a couple thousand members now, and I was just sharing things that resonate with me and learning to have a voice and share my experiences without fear and judgment, and learning not to be so critical of myself and judgmental of myself. And
Uh-huh.
um, this one ayahuasca experience I had, I know this is coming up, and I was interested to see if it come in your reading, but I had a connection with my grandfather, and he's still alive. He's 90 years old, and I had a connection on ayahuasca where I felt all of his pain. I literally embodied all of his emotions, his fear of death, his pride, as his ego's dropping, and he knows his conscious of his body failing him. And it seemed like everything just aligned, that I ended up moving in with him. And I was in that experience. I was shown that there's going to be a big pivotal phase when he crosses over, that I'm supposed to help him, and it's big. It's going to be huge for me. And it just so happened, my girlfriend left me, and my family's concerned about my grandfather, and they were trying to get him to move out and move into assisted living or move in with someone. And now I found myself in a lot of debt and everything stripped from my life. And now I'm living with him for the last 5 days, and it's been amazing. And I think that you're 100% correct with the next couple of years are going to be transformative. I can feel it.
Huge, yeah.
And I think that
Out of my own curiosity, what would you like to do if you could choose anything you wanted to do? How would you direct this energy that's coming?
well, I've been thinking about that a lot. Part of me is like, I'm 32 years old, but part of me is like, I've always had an engineering mind. Like, I'm always really good at understanding things, and I'm very curious, and I let that curiosity drive me. And so a lot of it's been in technology, but now it's all shifted. It's shifted from technology to inner wisdom, through my dark night of the soul and through my experiences the last few years. And I'm trying to find balance between both of those avenues, because I feel like I could do whatever I wanted. Um, Part of me, I was even thinking, like, I kind of want to be an astronaut. I'd love to go to space. and and then another part of me is like, I'd love to open up a healing center, a healing retreat. And when I moved out here the other day, all these Amanita muscaria mushrooms started popping up, and I've really been starting to research ibotenic acid and its properties. And because of its legality, I see this loophole within America, that I could potentially use that if I get good with this research, my self experiences, of using that for a healing center here in Alaska. It's a native mushroom to Alaska. Ran into a shaman last year in a village called Scammon Bay, that told me that his great grandfather told him of the Amanita muscaria and its properties, and how they used to feed it to the caribou and let snails eat it and then digest the snails, and how they used to brew teas out of it and talk to the gods.
That's amazing.
And since I've been my work with ayahuasca and different forms of ayahuasca, different plants and mushrooms, psilocybin, I really feel a calling to experience ibotenic acid, and then also another sea urchin that is that's legal, containing 5-bromeo DMT, which is not very researched yet, and it's still legal in America. So I'm trying to find these loopholes, because I feel like I'm supposed to learn these things to, like you said, be a bridge in here in America and help kind of reconnect and combine the best aspects of both Eastern and Western practices, both the science, because I really believe that science is on a path of discovering God. And what I've come to learn is that,
That's very Hindu, by the way. India, their science believes that they meet with God, that they're not separate at all.
and that's what I've
Like yantras and diagrams are science based there to them, but they meet spiritually. So very interesting.
and that's what I've come to learn myself is that getting into the E8 theory and quantum physics a little bit, I've been starting to research and study on my own and getting to some advanced mathematics. And I'm discovering that through sacred geometry, I tried this one mudra called the Yoni mudra, and I discovered the Mandelbrot.
I know all about mudras. Yeah,
Yeah, so
fascinating.
I had this vision of this I don't know, I didn't know what it was at the time. It was this figure in my mind, and my eyes went static using the Yoni mudra, putting pressure on my eyes, and all of a sudden I saw this kind of fractal, and I didn't know what it was. And a couple hours later, all of a sudden it showed up on my Facebook feed, and I had a name for it. And I've been doing a ton of research on the Mandelbrot, and I've realized that a lot of this sacred geometry, that these tunnels of shamanic journeying that I've been going through using binaural beats and the hemisync experiment, and differentiating different audio between your eardrums and allowing that center frequency to build and getting you into a trance, combined with breath work prior and yoga and centering your body and your mind, and then plant medicines on top of that, I can get into these states really quickly and easily where I can explore these and just observe. And um, and I discovered the Mandelbrot, and that like blew my mind. And so now it's putting me back into mathematics and more into the engineering and into quantum physics, and I just don't know where I want to go. I'm just so curious about everything now because I have direct experience of something deeper. And I don't know.
Yeah, and that's fascinating that this is where you're at because you're supposed to bring, like I said, you're a visionary according to your chart. You're supposed to bring new information to the planet, and I could see this being a big part of how that happens.
Yeah, I guess I don't really have a lot of questions. It's more just curious to see how it, what you were saying aligns to what I will experience in the future. Um, I definitely believe that traveling is my way in my future, and you said the same thing. So uh, that's why.
I'll say something that I think is going to shock you, but I believe it's going to be an accurate prediction. I believe you'll make a documentary or something like that in the future regarding the subject. And I stress that because you're supposed to merge communications and knowledge together and present people with new information.
Which is funny because
And so
I work in
I
telecom.
think that's what we're going to do.
I work in telecom and I work in communications, and I in my past I had a great as a teenager I had a great uh, curiosity towards creating movies, and I used to create films and stuff, but I kind of got out of it. And um, so yeah, no, that's awesome. That's kind of what I've thought too. It's like I feel like I really have, if I can find a platform, I can really share something. You know, finding that platform and finding that opening my throat chakra, and I've been praying, for opening of my heart chakra, which is what happened in that ayahuasca with my grandfather. It's like I was crying out to the universe. I realized that when you communicate in that space, what I call the heavens, it's or the Mandelbrot dimension, uh, using your internal dialogue combined with strong emotion, they create a harmony, kind of a resonating um, vibration into the universe. But it has to be the two. It can't be one without the other. It has to be a strong emotion tied to an inner passion that's focused into an inner dialogue, like a question, and then sit back and just feel and listen for an answer using all of your bodily senses of feeling. And that's what I've been kind of learning to do. And man, it's fascinating. I love this conversation because it ties so directly into my life and where my thoughts are.
And also, let me tell you something very interesting about your chart too. Is the wolf is your rising animal, and the wolf though it's a star because I use 27 stars called Hecate.
Hmm.
Your rising is under a star called Hecate, and the symbol of Hecate is a bundle of herbs and roots. And like my dad, as an example, he's born under the star Hecate. and his job was working for the Forest Service preserving plants. My dad also grows marijuana. Like he has a huge farm of it in Flagstaff,
Hmm.
and he is highly. There's something about the star Hecate, your rising sign, that is very much connected to nature, herbs, and roots. And then you have your Muse's sun, which is connected to technology, communications, and being a visionary. And you harmonize these energies, and you can tell how you can see where you're going. You can see it.
Yeah, no, that's. I mean, I grow cannabis too. I'm not right now, but and I'm working in automation. Using Raspberry Pi microcontrollers and Arduinos to, create Internet of Things devices and doing my own programming and getting all the metadata on my plants and remotely accessing them while I travel and being able to supplement light with blinds and different spectrum LEDs and get add water as needed, and that's what I like to do. And I'm very scientific nature, but I feel like I'm very connected to nature. I spend a lot of time in nature with work and on my own free time. And what's interesting too is you said about the ailments that I have. Well, I told you I have Crohn's disease, which is digestive
Yep. Digestion. Yep.
and I helped. I fixed that with a lot of prolonged fasting and limiting my carb intake. Um, and then as far as I just had X-rays a couple months ago, and I have some degeneration in my lower back discs. That's starting some inflammation, degeneration, as well as up in my neck on my left shoulder. So I've been going to the chiropractor
Huh.
a couple months.
Yeah, that's pretty literal too. Yep. This
Yeah.
particular system with health is unbelievable. I mean, as a matter of fact, I did a thesis on Crohn's disease because my brother has Crohn's, and in this particular system, if you have a couple planets in your sixth house and they're afflicted, it creates Crohn's, and you have two afflicted planets in your sixth. My brother, like he went to Western astrologers, and no one detected his problem. He had Crohn's disease before I even think I had a diagnosis. He had really severe problems when I was growing up, and he was like a you know in his adolescence years, and then it got in his teenage years, and it got worse. And no Western astrologer could predict it. This system and every Vedic astrologer could predict it because his sixth house was so afflicted in this system. But it's intense. And now, what did you say you remedy it with?
Prolonged fasting and keto.
Yeah.
So limiting your carbohydrates, eating healthy fats, lots of medium grade triglycerides like MCT and coconut oil,
Yep. Yep. Wow.
and getting rid of all the processed foods. Eating more straight from the ground and lots of meat, lots of fat, lots of veggies. Getting rid of sugar, using sugar substitutes, more natural like stevia, and that's what and then fasting. I did an 11-day fast. I want to do a 14 or a 21-day drinking just electrolytes. I followed the snake juice diet, which is basically electrolytes, magnesium, and whatnot in your sea salt, pink salt, and whatnot in your water, and just drinking that and learning to battle my mind. I spent I did the fast. I'm planning on doing. I want to do 7 days blindfolded. Just take 7 days a week off work and just go around my house, around the yard, around the property here, 7 days blindfolded. And then I want to do without hearing as well. And then maybe in the future do a silent retreat um, for a week or something like a.
Highly recommended. My guru in India, his name was Meher Baba, Meherbaba. I'm telling you this for a reason because he was a silent guru.
Mm,
When you were around him, we had to be silent for months. It's actually how I translated the book, the Yavana Jataka, and created the system of astrology I created. I did it out of pure boredom because we had to be silent for months. And so I just went to a library and translated a book, not knowing that had never been done before. It wasn't out of my desire that I created the system of astrology I did. It was out of boredom because I had to be silent in India, and I just translated a book. And I'm using it still to this day, and it predicts all these amazing things. I'm also listed, the reason why I'm booked until March, as the only person that predicted the pandemic publicly before it started. And I predicted it using this system, and it was the easiest prediction I've ever made in my life. It was so obvious that in this system, because the Egyptian god Set, who's the god of plagues, would start taking over this planet after the eclipse of December of 2019. And he was the god of plagues. And so I said it publicly in two different occasions that we're getting ready for either a big volcanic eruption or a pandemic. One of those two is going to happen in the first month of January. And when it started, that's my business just took off because of how many people heard me say it.
Wow.
And it was nothing genius in me. It's this system. It said Egypt, the Egyptian god Set's taken over. And when he takes over, it says we have a major calamities and pandemics, and sure enough, we're in it.
Well, it sounds like you were blessed with some gifts, and that silent retreat really was a pivotal moment.
I can't believe how one of those random things that takes place that changes your life, that was what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm certain you've had those experiences with how many changes you've been through and where you're at. These random things become so pivotal in our awakening.
Yeah, I'm starting to realize. And so you were saying you use the 27 animals, and today's the 27th, coincidentally or synchronistically. And
oh, that's interesting.
and that well, I'll tell you this is real interesting. That angel I was telling you about. Well, I thought it was an angel or spirit. That yellow orb on that day of that earthquake, or that right after that earthquake. It I had so it passed through my chest. I was left in ecstasy and bliss, and all of a sudden a number appeared in my head. It was 72, and I opened my eyes. I've been meditating for 2.5 hours, and I looked down at my Apple Watch. My heart rate was 72 beats per minute at 7:20 p.m. And since then, I've been seeing 72 or 27 everywhere. And every time I see it, I recognize that it is something that I need to pay attention to within my surroundings or within myself in that moment. And
not to interrupt, but the fascinating thing is in India, 27 is one of the most sacred numbers there is because there's these 27 signs are in India called nakshatras. They have a different take on them there than they do here, but they dissect the 27 into 4 parts. And when you do that, you arrive with 108. So if you ever buy like a sacred mala beads, they have 108 beads on it because they believe the universe has 108 divine personalities, but they're dissected by 27 components. So 27 is the most sacred number in India.
It's very interesting because 108 is what it's made up of the intersects of the E8 theory model, which is the theory of everything. And what I just realized, I started researching the Kabbalah, and the Kabbalah already has the E8 model depicted, which contains every geometric pattern known to man, the flower of life, every single geometry within it, and it's literally the blueprint of the universe.
Amazing.
Yeah, no, it's I keep seeing all these like things that's like, oh my god, this connects to this connects to this, and I get so excited, and it's like I know that I have a big purpose. I need to figure out what it is, and it's like, but at the same time, that inner voice is telling me just be patient. That in time things will come and things will make sense when they're supposed to be, and you just need to just observe.
Well, you're definitely where you should be right now. I even like the fact you're with your grandfather at this point because, really speaking, the next few years are all about you defining where you want this powerful Jupiter Dasha to manifest. And so to kind of have a clean slate, to just kind of start from your core is what would be the most recommended thing. And that's why I said you get to choose where you want to direct this energy that starts in 2024. And the next 3 years are you making those decisions. I personally want you shooting for the stars. I think these experiences with hallucinogenics, plant medicine, you having this Star of the Muses, which is connected to technology, communications, get this stuff out in the universe. I think you'd find a lot of joy in doing it.
Mm-hmm. I want to help people. I just don't. I see the world, and I watch. I don't say I'm Republican. I don't say I'm Democrat. I just sit back and watch, and I see.
Yeah, I'm apolitical too. I'm not into either.
And I just feel so much compassion for the world, and I see all this arguing, and it's like it doesn't make sense to me. We came to this planet somehow, and we observe things, we label things, and then we argue about whose label's right.
What's going on right now is just, it blows my mind. I grew up in India, and I have been to Pakistan. I have been to innumerable countries, and our country is not evil, either side. I've been in evil countries. I'm mind blown that people think that our country is that dark and evil. I've been in countries where if you go against a genuine, the general belief, you can be found and murdered.
Mhm.
And it's like I'm like, you guys, listen, our life is pretty chill here still. I do believe I'm a heavy conspiracy person at the same time, but I do not believe in the conspiracies you get on YouTube at all, because I believe that there are branches of governments in other countries that consciously make YouTube videos that are government based and conspiracy based, and they make them look incredibly real to distract what is really going on. Like if someone said to me, "Hey, aliens are upgrading our immune system from the coronavirus," I'm in. I'll believe it. I know there's stuff going on out there that's just completely supernatural, but a lot like the guy who made the movie Plandemic is a client of mine, Mickey Willis, and I've known him for years. And he was in my circle of friends, and he was funded $30,000 by the Italian government to make that movie Plandemic. And so we knew the movie wasn't real before it came out. And so to be arguing with people when you actually have him as a client, and I tell people, go to my Facebook page. He's one of my friends on Facebook, on my personal Facebook account. He was paid by the Italian government. And that's why when the movie was banned on YouTube, it was played in one country. That was Italy, because Italy funded it. And why did Italy fund it? Because they want to demonize Bill Gates because of the fact that he is, this Mr. Who supports pro-choice. He's put an enormous amount of money into abortion clinics and things of that nature, and he's demonized by Catholicism. And I think it's fascinating that in 2019, 18,500 children were molested by Catholic priests, an astronomical number. And we're not talking about that. We're talking about QAnon and Democrats eating babies. It's just complete distraction, so we never focus on anything that is real anymore. But anyways, that's a whole other subject. But it's a crazy time to be alive right now and watch what's going on in our country.
It's no, definitely. I know that within myself, my ego is one of my greatest you know things to overcome and to integrate within my own psyche. And what I've noticed is that through plant medicines, just like you were saying, externally in the world, um, my ego acts as a magician, and it uses deception and illusion, and it makes you focus over here when really you need to be focusing over here. And the only way I know how to differentiate between the two is to shut off the mind and feel. And I see that within externally around me, in the world, is that these deceptions are being used, and there has to be an inner feeling to be able to discern between what's really going on.
Yeah.
And no, it's amazing that we're living in the time we are. And I just looking back into history and educating yourself on history and seeing where we're at now, and it really feels like we're on the brink of a huge metamorphosis for our species and for our planet.
It's huge.
Yeah.
In this system, I don't know if you've studied into stuff, the work that I did about the ages. I'm like, we're not in the age of Aquarius. We're 500 years away from it. Yet we're entering the age of Chimera, which, boy, are you going to like, because it's about living in plant medicine. It's a totally different age, and we're getting ready to go into that in 2070. So we're in a 50-year countdown going into that cycle right now.
Wow.
50-year countdown. And so I believe things like plant medicine, we have to learn to kind of function with nature a little bit greater than we do. And that's why I think that, a lot of this climate change and all these things are going on is so we can harmonize with nature. I believe the things that would be going on with weather would be happening anyways, regardless if we were doing it or not. I firmly believe that because I can see these things in the system astrologically. But we have to take the blow, humans do, because the age we're going into is the age of nature, and we have to learn how to live with nature before the cycle begins. And I believe plant medicine is huge in the future.
Oh, I think so too. I mean, I think it's we're on, at least within my circle of reality, my bubble. It's one of my biggest passions in life is realizing and learning that each of these medicines, each of these plants, it's more than just a medicine for physical ailment and for health. It has each plant has a huge effect on our consciousness, uh, and
And even when you smoke marijuana, which I do, I'm a huge advocate for marijuana. It's like different strands have different effects on your mind and your brain and your body. It's like,
Mm.
and you get to witness that by, do I want sativa today or do I want indica? It's like you can feel that, and I know it goes much deeper than that. Yet at the same time, I think that natural medicine is profound.
No, definitely. My teacher tells me something, and this is what I kind of base everything on. And he said, and his teacher shared it with him. Any experience moved through is good. It doesn't matter what you ingest, what you do. Is any experience you move through, anything that happens to you, it's good. You just have to find the good in it. And I think that can lead a lot of people to some insights and truths if they can hold that belief.
Agreed 100% on that statement.
Mm-hmm.
And my guru said things that were real shocking. He was like, even now he would say the world is in perfect harmony right now. He said God creates. He used the word universe, not God. He said the universe creates, that preserves, and destroys. And there are cycles where the universe just naturally destroys, and it destroys to bring new types of consciousness to the planet. And we're in that right now. And so, like the Spanish flu was going on while World War I was going on. Everybody thought it was Armageddon then. Everybody did. They thought it was the end of the world. I mean, we had Hitler and, in a World War II going on. This is just that phase of this planet that it goes through. And it's just a part of the universe. It creates, preserves, and destroys, and we just happen to be in that cycle right now.
Yeah.
I hate to say that I have a client that's going to be beeping in here in a minute, but I do. I could have this conversation with you all day. But I'm so glad we were able to do this at this time in your life. This could not have been a better time to do this.
No, it was great. Thank you so much, Jade. I really appreciate it.
You're going to receive an email, and I'm going to give you 15 minutes from this reading anyways, which means if you hang up the phone and think of questions you should have asked, you just send me an email, and we'll put you back up for another 15 minutes.
Okay.
And it does take a long time to get that. Either I get you in pretty quick. So you're going to get an email from Zamzar, Zamzar. You're going to get it in about 5 minutes. And sometimes it goes right into your spam folder. And so check your spam folder when it comes.
Okay.
If it's not there, and again, you have to download it within 14 days.
Okay. Well,
If you have any problems with it, let me know.
I recorded it too, so we should be good.
Oh, awesome. Well, you'll get two, and you contact me for 15 minutes when you're ready.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jade. Blessed day, and enjoy the rest of your week.
You as well. I'm glad we got to meet today.
Yep, me too. Take care.
Bye-bye.